Woo! Hey everybody, Jim Sammons here, and welcome to the Kayak Fishing Show live. As always, brought to you by Ballast Point and all of our other great sponsors you see scrolling along the bottom. Of course, if you've been paying attention, the last few episodes have been brought to you by our good friend Patrick Sebile, a band of anglers. We are not here to talk politics. We're not here to talk COVID. We're not here to talk about my lousy LG refrigerator, which I'm fighting with. We're here to talk about kayak fishing and fishing in general and all the great places we get to go and our good friends we get to hang out with. With no further ado, again, if you've been paying attention, again, every Tuesday and Thursday, we do our live shows with playing our old episodes. On Tuesdays are the Jackson Kayak Years. On Thursdays are the Ocean Kayak Years. And the Ocean Kayak being obviously the older ones. And these are available to watch here on Facebook, our group page, our show page, as well as on YouTube at Kayak Fishing Tales. I kind of implore you to maybe go over to Kayak Fishing Tales. Notifications on Facebook have been really bad. Our last live show had a terrible reach, and I don't know why. So, we implore you, please share these shows with your friends, give the thumbs up. The more interaction we get, the better reach we get, the more they send it out so people will actually see them. So, but we are, like I said, Facebook has been really weird lately and the reach has not been great. So at least if you go and subscribe to Kayak Fishing Tales, you will get notified whenever the videos come up. So anyway, so like I was telling you, these episodes are brought to you by a band of anglers, our good friend Patrick Sebile, the magician of a lure maker. And so he gets the first 10 minutes or so of the show to talk about one of his brands of lures. And today he is going to talk about SpoolTek. And these are a really cool lure. I've caught a lot of fish on them, and I'm just scrolling through the page right there really quick. All different styles. And they're very unique. So I just wanted to throw that up there really quick, and I will bring Patrick up, and he can explain these lures to you. Patrick, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. I'm hoping as many as possible of the people who are watching that show live or later on are also doing as good as possible.
Yeah, and let me thank you so much for changing location, because this week you look crystal clear. I'm sure we're going to be able to see the lures crystal clear. You look wonderful. I want to remind people that anybody watching the show for the next 24 hours, use the discount code right here, and you can get a 20% discount on any of the SpoolTek lures. And then for the remainder of the week after the 24 hours, you can get a 15% discount. And again, use these discount codes. And after the 6 weeks is up, I think I hit the wrong one. Oh, no, it's scrolling across the bottom. We will hand pick lures for that person. Patrick will pick out the right lures for you, $150 gift assortment of lures from a band of anglers. So,
yes.
So make sure, but that is for people who engage. That is for people who comment. That is people who share the show, all that. So, Patrick, with no further ado, I'm giving you the full screen here. Whoop, I gave myself the full screen. Give you the full screen. And let's talk about SpoolTek lures.
Sure. And really, here's SpoolTek. So when you look at a packaging on a SpoolTek lure, you see something that's quite different than other lure. You see the lure body, and then you see some leader, and you see the hook at the end. Well, you see the lure come with the hook on it. So there's a reason that you see that on that display, but here's the lure. Well, that came because the idea of two anglers in Florida of having a concealed leader. And that's why when you look on the lure, on the SpoolTek lures, you see always there's a spool right here. And the reason was, well, we all lose fish, right? We all lose fish. I don't know any serious angler who can say that he never lost a fish in his life. So actually, this is the solution to help you losing less fish, and yourself, myself. So the reason being that when we lose a fish, it's because the fish is not properly hooked, right? If the fish swallowed the whole lure and the hook is hooked deep inside the mouth, well, usually you don't lose that fish. Maybe you break the line, but you don't lose that fish. The way we all lose a fish is when the fish is hooked, not very well on the corner of the mouth, and then shake the head, maybe jump. And now you have two things that can happen. First, you have the leverage. So basically from the line that's attached here, the lure body, the leverage on the hook can help the hook basically to get loose and, well, to go away, meaning losing the fish. The other thing is the weight of the lure itself. When the fish shake the head sideways, sometimes it also can happen that the lure goes backward because the weight. So in both cases, that results into a fish loss. And the reason why the SpoolTek brand is so unique, and by the way, we have patent that cover that well, is that when you have the bite and set the hook, here's what happened. You have that concealed leader that go away, and that's why now no more leverage. The lure is away from the hook, and no more problem of the weight of the hook directly impacting, the weight of the lure directly impacting the hook. That's why SpoolTek is quite unique. And of course, it's not a one-use bait. That means once you're done, you fight that fish, you land it with more chance to land it than other lures because of that very unique characteristic. Then what you do is what I'm doing right now. You simply spool. I hope I center very well. Okay, here. You simply spool that spool right here. You can see on the top. And you bring back the leader inside. And once you're almost at the end, and it's quite important, you simply keep the hook down and you make sure the hook eye goes into the little spot that's made for it, and you keep tying the leader. And now your lure is ready to cast again. So you see, it don't take long really to spool in the leader, but you have that huge benefit. So there's a range. We have different models, different type of action. This guy is the fatty. That's the widest range of body. So we have the 8-inch, which is that big guy. We have the 6-inch, that was the kind of original size. We have that 5-inch. I'm going to go in more detail in 1 second. You have the 4-inch for lighter use. And each of them come in two different options. You have the sinking, which is heavy but not too heavy. And then you have the extra heavy, definitely much heavier, usually give or take 50% heavier, meaning longer cast and also being able to fish deeper. So that covers a wide range of options. So that fatty family is great for that. And that's why I want to also highlight the very specific 5-inch that have, as you can see right here, that sticker, Bass Special Braid Leader. Because like the lure I show you, like most of the range have a stainless steel cable. So that's perfect if you target many predator fish, if you target pike, muskie, if you target snook or tarpon. Those guys don't have sharp teeth, but they are very sharp gill plates. If you troll in big seas, big 8-inch extra heavy 7-ounce, for example, is great for trolling. You can catch a wahoo, you can catch yellowfin tuna, a wide range of things. But for the model that are more specific to bass, like that 5-inch, then we have a braid leader, which is much softer and fits much better the bass, which is the most popular predator fish around. And of course, again, you have that benefit that you can simply spool in by spinning this spool right here. You can just spool in the leader. Why is that great? Because I guess many of you guys, maybe every one of you, we've pretty much all of us have caught some bass, right? And typically if you lose a 1-pound bass, no big deal. And I guess Jim will agree very much with me on that one. But typically the one we really feel a lot of pain are the big ones, and those are the ones that are more likely to be lost. And the 5-inch with that braid leader is just beautiful for largemouth bass and give you more chance. We also have an 8-inch for those of you who love big swim baits. We have an 8-inch Bass Special with the braid leader. Another benefit is that the tail is made of soft tough. So for those of you who know Hyperlastic brand, like the Dart Spin, it's made of the same long-lasting material, gives a lot of kicking action, and it's buoyant. And it does matter because you can let those bait fall and hit the bottom, and 100% of the time when in the water, the buoyancy of the tail will keep the hook up like this. No kidding. Even the big ones, even the 8-inch long fatty will do that. So that's the fatty family. And just to show another one of the shape, that guy is a stretch, 9-inch, so longer, a slender body, more for longer distance cast. We have 3 size. That's the 9-inch. We have the 7, the 5.5, and there's a few more. So please go visit our page, abenofenglers.com, and go on the SpoolTek range. You will see a range, different tails, different action, and you can benefit of those special discounts that we are bringing to you. Again, here's the big benefit. You set a hook when you use a SpoolTek lure, and you have that leader that goes out of, and that avoid the leverage of the bait. You lose much less fish, whether it's big bass, calicos, muskie, snook, tarpon, name them. They all work very well with that. You land more fish thanks to that patent.
Well, do you think it's also an advantage, and that's what I found anyway, that you can then like use a lighter leader to the lure because you have that, so you're going to get better action, more hits by having that lighter leader to the lure itself?
Definitely, yes. Because typically, the one thing that happened, let me show again that 8-inch. When we see the 8-inch, that's definitely a nice bait. So when we have very clear water and fish are finicky, if you have a thicker leader, we may have less bite, but sometimes we have no choice. Like tarpon or snook, we have no choice but have a big leader because their gill plate or some other fish, their teeth is very sharp. Now, in that case, I have a 1.3 or 1.6 millimeter stainless steel wire. So I can have a thinner leader, indeed having more bites, definitely having more bites. And once the hook is set, now I don't care because the fish teeth or the gill plate are going to scratch against, a 200-pound stainless steel, not against a, 40-pound fluorocarbon. So definitely more bites thanks to that, indeed.
And the tails are replaceable?
They are. So we can remove them. Let me show here. Yeah, there's a patent. We can just push to remove them, put a new one. We sell also the pack of tails. And here, I want to show you there's a hole underneath the belly. Okay, let's call it a belly hole, right? So in case the tail was a little bit hard to remove, you simply take a stick, something, and you push here, making it very, very simple to remove them. Softer material, so long-lasting. Just don't mix them with your regular soft plastic because then they will melt. It's a different type of material. You just need them to be in a specific box, but you can put them with hyperlastic lures. You can put them with Z-Man, another very popular brand that use not exactly the same plastic, but the same family of plastic, so they don't melt together. Lot of benefits. They hold much longer also with fish teeth. You catch many more fish. They last much longer and have a lot of kicking action, which is great.
We did have one question here that pertained to this. The leaders, are they replaceable?
Not, and I will say more exactly, not yet, because for future generations of SpoolTek, I'm working on systems that are a bit more complex to put in place, where we'll be able to replace them. But one simple, very simple tip, if you fish in saltwater, is that simply once you're done fishing, wash those guys with fresh water and let them hang like that, say, one night, so they dry. So you avoid to have too much salt, because even if it's named stainless steel, it's not fully stainless steel. So if you simply spool in the leader and let them like this for 6 months, well, rust will build. That's the truth too. But with the new, compared to the original SpoolTek, where the leader was much longer, much thinner, so more sensitive to kicking, more sensitive to oxidation, I put shorter one, which still feel all the need of not allowing leverage and stuff like that, much more rust resistant, much more teeth resistant, much less likely to kink when you fight a fish.
Awesome. Well, Patrick, that's it. Again, I really appreciate you moving locations, because this worked out much better this week, being able to actually see you and see the lures. So I appreciate it. again, what exactly are you doing for this custom pack? Like I said, after the 6 weeks is up, we're going to choose somebody who has participated, who has shared this for a gift pack. So what exactly are you going to do for that?
The thing was, I like to personalize things. And I was thinking, if I just put together a range of baits, well, who knows? The gentleman or the lady angler who will win that pack may find some of the baits not be really relevant to he or herself. So my idea was, when you, Jim, pick someone at the end of those 6 weeks, this person will let you know what does that person like. Is it someone who's looking for, say, muskie? Is it someone targeting calicos, in the kelp? Is it someone fishing for striped bass on whether the east or the west coast? Is it someone who likes, fishing light tackle for redfish and sea trout? And based on that, I will put that gift assortment together of specific lure that I believe will fit really what that person look like. And also I will take one of the catalog and dedicate, make a sign, personalized signature to that very person.
Very, very cool. So here once again are those discount codes. Again, for the 24 hours, you can get 20% off using that YAX05-20, and then use the other discount code for the remainder of the week for your 15% off. Yep. Thank you, Patrick. I do appreciate it. And I will be talking to you again next week.
I'm very sure. I'm always glad to be with you, and I stay here to watch the show. I love watching your shows. You know that.
Awesome. Okay, so the remainder of the show, of course, is going to be our continuation of our road trip to down Baja and then going out to Cedros Island. This part is Cedros Island. I'm really stoked that my good friend who was on the trip with me and who's actually been on the show several times, and he and I have fished a lot together, considering he lives in Northern California and I live in Southern California. So great that he could join us here today, because every other time I ask him, he's a busy guy and can't make it. So with no further ado, my buddy Sean White, how are you, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Just trying to finish my lunch. But I think I made the deadline. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good. We're going opposite directions. You're getting a little more clean cut, and I'm turning into a homeless person.
Yeah, my beard wasn't doing me any favors anymore, so for now it's off.
I figured I would embrace the COVID hair and facial hair, and
yeah,
why not?
You can ignore it or do a system you don't need to go to the barber for, which is what I've done.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the other way. I'll go the other way. Once this is gone, it's going to go about this long.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sean, we were, God, I don't remember how long ago this was now. I mean, it was several years.
Oh, the Kraken was brand new, I believe, because we were doing like promo things for it. So whatever year that was, I remember doing like a walkthrough on the patio there at Cedros.
Right. We loaded up our trucks and drove down the Baja. We had a wonderful time at Mag Bay.
Yeah, we did.
Funny enough, that was actually the first episode of this season, which is season 7. It was the first episode. No idea where it went. That episode has disappeared, so I wasn't actually able to air that part.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Mag Bay is a super, super cool place. We just kind of had a interesting experience.
Our experience was not the best, but it is a beautiful place. I would like to see it slightly differently, but even that experience, when we were grouper fishing out there, I lost track of how many we hooked up, but it's very easy to count how many we landed.
Truth.
And the grouper fishing there was ridiculous.
Yeah, and I actually, a friend of mine was just down there. She was kayak fishing, had a boat take her out to the mouth, and got a striped marlin.
Wow.
So it's a very prolific area for marlin outside of Mag Bay. So
yeah,
let's get back there. But the highlight was, and the cool part was, we had some issues. Called Jose at Cedros Island and said, "Can we come early?" Because we were scheduled at a different time, and he said,
"Yeah, I forgot about that.
Bring it." And interesting. And we had some vehicle issues, trailer issues.
Yes, I think your leaf spring ate it or something, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Roof rack. Your roof rack broke.
The roof rack, because I had that lumber rack for carrying the kayaks on top, and then I had the trailer, and those dirt roads, those washboard roads can be a little brutal.
They're savage, yeah.
But the trials of getting there and everything go all the way when you reach that cool destination.
I totally agree. You know, and even with the sort of incidents we had, it was like every other Baja experience I had. People basically just bent over backwards to get us back on the road. I think that welding shop opened on a Sunday. We hung around out back and just ate food and BS'd with the guys while they did like an absolutely beautiful welding job to get us back onto the road for one of the sportier ponga rides of my life across the straits there and over to Cedros. It was fun.
Yeah, no, and like I said, if people are afraid of going down Baja,
yeah,
I mean, yes, just like any place, you can have issues.
Yeah.
But the people are so nice.
The nicest people.
By and large, the people are so nice. I always feel completely safe down there. You and I, you would help me guide down in Baja. I mean, how many thousands of dollars in gear would we leave sitting outside our rooms every night?
Every day. And when you think about like the spread Mike and Mary left out in front of their cabin every day, I mean, just zillions of dollars of high-end fly tackle on nothing ever moved.
Yeah, I lost a pair of pliers. I actually caught a kid walking because I had left him on my kayak on the beach, and a kid swiped them and actually caught him. But that's the one thing out of all the years I guided down there. So
it's always been, the only thing you should be afraid of is meeting really nice people.
Yeah, just don't be stupid.
Yeah,
don't be the ugly American. Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
Be kind and gracious, and they
turn
that tenfold, right?
Yep.
So the ride out to Cedros, you and I had actually done. We had done the mothership trip to Cedros before.
I organized the Islander trip with Paul Leibowitz a number of years before. It was a 6-day. I think it was the longest they ever did on the Islander with kayaks. So we'd been there once before, but as part of a mothership trip. Yeah.
And I tell you what, I mean, as much fun as that is, and that's a totally different experience.
Yeah.
Being able to fly down there because this was a drive down and then motored across, but his operation is really based on picking you up in San Diego and flying you down.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to get down to that kind of fishing and, leave in the morning and be fishing that afternoon is pretty cool. And it's a special place. When I first started going, he was using a hotel up into the island. And this trip was the first time we'd been there with his new lodge. And
the lodge is amazing. I actually really found the whole island to be is really a lovely spot. I've been pretty much all up and down Baja a number of times, and there's a few places that are super memorable, and Cedros is definitely one of them. When we went on the mothership, since we weren't documented or whatever, we weren't even allowed to land on the island, so I had no idea what it was actually like on the island. And the little village was very sweet, good food, really nice people, and just a really cool little place in Baja. But then when you show up at his actual lodge, it makes quite the showstopper. It's a beautiful facility.
Even if you couldn't fish, if I could sit on that bluff and just stare at the water all day,
yeah, right,
with a cold beer, I'm a happy man, because that is an amazing place. So I want to check in with a couple people who are saying hello. Liam, watching over on Kayak Fishing Tales, I do appreciate that. And again, I encourage anybody to watch it over at Kayak Fishing Tales, or at least subscribe over there, because that way you're for sure going to get notified when we do our live shows. Eric, talking about the strange things with Facebook. Yeah, it's been a mad world. Chris Funk says, I just got a pile of magic swimmers. That was my go-to lure.
That's a great bait.
That lure won so many awards, and I caught so many fish on it, and I fished with that thing everywhere. Absolutely amazing. So that was one of Patrick's winners. Unfortunately, that's back with Pure Fishing, and Patrick has moved on with his other stuff, and he's got a lure that's very similar also. Patrick, what's that one called? I can't remember off the top of my head.
The Dead Alive.
Dead Alive. Is it Dead Alive?
Yeah, in one word, Dead Alive, because really it's part of Hyperlastics, and we have a weighted or a not weighted model. That means one is buoyant, float on the top, one float on the bottom, and it's really made to mimic truly a dying bait fish. So you can swim it and it's a swim bait, but when you pause it, when you twitch it, the buoyant, when you let it just float, it goes from a swimming position to slowly turning sideways and go floating on the top like a dying bait fish. If you've seen a dying bait fish, that's why the Dead Alive.
Very cool. So there you go. Well, thanks for sticking around to answer that question. Andreas, again, watching on Kayak Fishing Tales. Again, we appreciate that. Good buddy, Chris Funk. Still want to come west to chase some of your critters one day, sir. You have piles of bucket list species. Well, you are always welcome, Mr. Funk, to come out here. My house is open to you because you just make me laugh the whole time we're together. So with no further ado, I think we need to get this episode going or we'll never watch it. So this is season 7, episode 3, part 2 of Cedros Island. And this is a cool part is my daughter's on this trip with us, and we just had an awesome time. So let's get this thing rolling.
On the Kayak Fishing Show, our Baja Road trip adventure continues. We've got our continued trip at Cedros Outdoor Adventures, Cedros Island. We're chasing yellowtail, calico bass, halibut, all kinds of great game fish out at this beautiful island. Stick around, it's going to be a great show.
I'm going to skip over the intro.
This week on Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show with Jim Sammons. Jim is on the island of Cedros with Cedros Outdoor Adventures. Joining him this time is his daughter Kirstin and fellow Jackson teammates Jared, Adrian, and Sean.
Yeah, time to whack them. Pressure's on.
The guys have had an epic first few days on the water with a small yellowtail, hundreds of calico bass, and a huge halibut hooked and landed. But Cedros is really known for its healthy yellowtail bite, and that's what the guys are here to catch.
Well, I love calico bass. They're a beautiful fish, and just so much stronger, much more powerful than a freshwater bass. These things really pull hard, and when you catch them in the boiler rocks in that really rough terrain, it's even that much more exciting. I mean, a small calico will tow your kayak. When you get into a big one and it wants to run into the rocks and into the weeds, you have a real tussle on your hand. It's a lot of fun.
Pretty much non-stop calico action here. If you want to catch calico bass, you really just need to throw a jig out and let it sink. It's kind of ridiculous. Trying to maybe find some better action on the yellowtail, but right now they're really only happening by trolling Rapalas, and it's the one thing we didn't bring on the boat.
Of course.
That was a great boat. I loved that kayak.
Calico bass on the yo-yo iron.
Look at that one, Will. That's a chunker. That is a beauty.
Especially the urban cowgirl color.
Get the heck out of here.
Well, go with what's working. Saw the boat right next to us just hooked up. 2 boats just hooked up trolling Rapalas. So I figure we may as well try that too. Because I have
Was
to
there
Rapala
a big crab spawn going on when we were there, Jim?
When we come back, The guys continue their search for the elusive big yellows that
What was that,
Cedros
Sean?
Outdoor Adventures
I think when we were there for this part of it, wasn't there red crab just everywhere?
Yes.
It's time to go.
Yeah, the red crab.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get locked in on that stuff, and you just can't pull them away.
No, I mean, you can't blame them, right?
Very easy. We're eating a lot of little lobster.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a bad day.
Welcome back to Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show. This week, we join Jim and his team of top open water kayak anglers at Cedros Outdoor Adventures on Cedros Island. Winds have picked up on the outside, so the team is forced to hug the shore and cast into the boiler rocks for calicos. But sometimes there are surprises that lurk in the turbulent waters.
I'm changing spots. Even if I've just been throwing lures, I'll throw that lure out behind me and troll it to the next spot. Catch a lot of fish that way. And you're definitely not going to catch a fish if you don't have a line in the water. So may as well troll it. I got hooked into a nice yellowtail yesterday this way.
Well, ecologically, this place is really cool. The island itself is very arid, so it's a very deserty type of habitat on land. But because of the large embayment on the backside of it and the constriction between here and Punta Eugenia, it's an area of a lot of upwelling. That upwelling makes a lot of nutrients. Those nutrients generally make very, very heavy kelp beds here, and that's sort of the base for why the fisheries here are so incredibly robust. Jared and Adrian had been fishing these boiler rocks for calicos, and they had both caught sea bass. One again got eaten by a sea lion, and they actually retained one, which we're going to have for dinner tonight, which I'm also excited about. And I had never had an opportunity. Normally, again, this is sort of a big tackle kind of thing, so I didn't have the right sort of setup according to the guys. I ended up catching 3, so I guess I did.
It's actually a lot calmer out here than I thought it would be.
I actually got spooled in that place. The only time I've ever actually been spooled.
That's right. I forgot about
Slimer.
that.
Yeah, I was just bouncing those swim baits off that rock and picking up those little white sea bass. And I don't know, I caught 2 or 3 of them. And then one same basically little pickup felt just like a bass. I set the hook, and that thing burned out of there like a cruise missile. Spun my big old Kraken around like a compass needle. And before I could even think about what I was going to do, it was at the bottom of my, had an Abu Garcia Inshore. And I was like just literally at the arbor knot. And I put my thumb on it and pink, goodbye.
I bet it was a yellowtail.
Yeah, probably was. Either that or a big white sea bass. But boy, it just boogied. There was no stopping it. And literally just the force of it swinging the bow around, it just dumped my whole spool.
Yeah, I've caught yellowtail at Cedros Island in 2 feet of water.
Yeah.
They'll push bait right up against the island and on plastics and stuff while you're fishing for calicos, and you make a toss over the other direction, and the next thing you know, you're getting smoked by a yellow.
When we were there on the Islander, Justin was shooting them off the beach, like in exactly at 2 or 3 feet of water over the sand, and everybody was like, "Where were you at?"
Right.
Over there in the kiddie pool, Yeah, they're everywhere there.
And that's the cool thing. I think one of my very first times there, I was fishing calicos in the boilers, and I'm bringing it back. I hook a calico, and I got a big old plastic hanging out of its mouth, and a big old white sea bass just came in and just ripped the plastic right out of the calico's mouth and took off.
Cow.
And it was one of those zing pow, because I'm fishing totally locked down drag, and like I said, just an absolutely super cool place. So just since we've paused here, everybody, again, I ask if you can please share this with your friends, give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying it, and throw us some questions. If you've got any questions for us or Patrick's going to stick around till the end of the show. So please, again, give us some comments, some shares, some questions, all that, and let's keep this thing going.
but it was incredible. It was very much like fishing for largemouth. We're pitching these plastics right into heavy structure. I was just bringing it back with sort of an uneven retrieve, and man, they were just hammering it. It was really, really fun. They're not great big tankers. These were sort of sub-adults, 10, 12 pounds, but man, on the light, tiny bass rods, again, incredibly fun, beautiful fish. They have these incredible purple luster to them with these big barring. Oh man, gorgeous fish. So for me, great experience. And for fishing, that was my highlight of the trip, was busting those off the rocks. Was a real treat.
Still no sign of big yellows, but the guys are content with the fun-fighting white sea bass. However, the sun is setting, and it's time to head in to the incredible Baja Magic Lodge, high on the cliff tops overlooking the ocean.
My name is Jose Angel Sanchez Pacheco. In Mexico, we have two first names. We're on Cedros Island, which is the island in the Pacific coast, right between San Diego and Cabo San Lucas, to give you an idea. We are the belly button of the peninsula.
Wanted to come back because Jose is such a great host at Cedros Outdoor Adventures, but he built himself a new lodge here that he invited us to come see, and well worth the trip. His new place is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that lodge is unbelievable.
Forget whatever you're doing out on the water. Being able to sit at this hotel.
All right, we got to go back.
Just watching this makes me want to go back so bad.
Yeah, place is amazing.
If you're around Jose, you also need to have a very thick skin, be able to handle a heavy dose of sarcasm, because like us, because he fits in perfectly with us, he is super sarcastic.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Now with a fleet of boats and a luxury lodge, Cedros Outdoors Adventures has become the go-to destination for anglers all over the world who want a chance at the plentiful yellowtail that these waters are known for.
The remoteness and the isolation that you get from a community on an island creates that family-style living. I like this island. I like the people. I think they're really great people, hardworking, and they have survived in an environment that is really difficult to live in. And yeah, they're all our friends, really. I appreciate a lot the help and the support from the local people.
When we return, Jim and the team put away the light tackle and hope that the winds will give them a chance at some big, hard-fighting yellowtail.
And it was windy.
Yes, it was.
I've got some photos from that, which were actually cool promotional photos for the Kraken, because it showed how well it paddled in that slop. But
yeah,
I mean,
very windy.
Head down, paddling hard in that.
Welcome back. Today we're on Cedros Island off the coast of Baja on the hunt for monster yellowtail. It's been an amazing week fishing inshore for calico bass and white sea bass, but now the clock is ticking down and the team has yet to land a table-sized yellowtail.
It's our last day at Cedros. We've got some, hopefully some better weather. We've got a little bit of cloud cover out over here, but more importantly, at the moment anyway, there's no wind. We've been hammered by wind, and although it never shows on film, and we had 35-mile-an-hour wind yesterday, and that makes fishing tough. So hopefully today, we're going to get out there and whack some yellowtails.
That fish was awesome. Caught it on the surface iron, which is my favorite way to catch yellows. 100% favorite way. Yeah, I asked for the help because it was my biggest yellowtail, and it was up at gaff and ready to be gaffed, and I didn't want a sea line to take it like it did the last couple of days. So.
What do we? Let's go! Yes!
Yeah, that's a nice fish.
Yes, it is. Jared's energy, dude, is contagious, man. I love that guy.
Much more so than I think we anticipated, but we stuck with it, and it ended up still being a beautiful day most of the time. We decided to put the kayaks in the water anyway, and we started slow trolling a little bit, and I was ready to just call it a day and say I'm out for a nice paddle today because it was so windy. I didn't think we were going to get anything, but right when I was ready to just paddle around leisurely, it started clicking. So a fish was on and I grabbed the reel and it was heavy.
Did you get that fish in yet? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna of course, being super dad, she's hooked up, and I think we'd caught a couple of yellows by this point. And she's hooked up, and she's like, I can't pull it. It's strong. I'm like, come on, because we were catching kind of average size. That one that
Adrian caught, yeah.
Adrian caught was a quality fish, but most of them were, smaller units. And so I was giving her a hard time, like, just come on, you can land this thing. She's like, I can't pull any harder.
Yeah. No, it was not the same grade.
No, this fish was definitely a good quality fish, and I felt so bad afterwards because I just given her a hard time, like she wasn't pulling hard enough, and it was the bigger than anything I caught on the trip. So
yeah,
keep her going.
Go, right at it. Wine. Pull. You can rest tomorrow.
Shut up, Dad.
It's supposed to be. You can put your feet over the sides of the boat if it'll make you feel more stable.
No, it won't.
I remember we were chasing those fish all over.
It ended up being a lot bigger. So
You guys ended up being in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah, they were moving.
Yeah.
Brought off my dad so that he could get it untangled and everything.
It's not broken off, but it's locked in the kelp.
Oh, that's right. At this point, this fish had run and wrapped in kelp.
I remember that now.
And with her having a lot less experience, I took the rod just to try to get it out, and luckily was able to get it to swim out. But that fish was a tussle.
God bless Spectre, right? Back in the day, that would have been like the end of your day. But
right. Thank you for the cigar. They're just cut right through it.
Yeah.
But still, you could feel it when they lock in. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's the worst.
That is the worst.
But then after that, I pulled it out to the boat by myself, and it was, I mean, it was big. So I was pretty proud of myself.
Get up! Oh my God, this is huge! This is a huge yellowtail!
Yeah, that is a donkey.
90, 38, 39, 36.
39.17.
Good fish. Cedros fish. Yellowtail capital.
Having a great time with Cedros.
Look at that baby.
Kirstin just landed a tanker yellowtail. Stick around and see if we get some more.
Yeah, that shot right there really shows when it stretched out what a quality fish that was.
Celebrate with fresh
Yeah. I remember you had that huge ice chest that year, and it barely fit.
Yeah, it was that coffin size angle cooler.
Windy waters off
Yeah.
the coast of Baja, and Jim plans to make the most of it.
But that's the thing is, the first time I went down there was on a mother ship, and we saw several fish over 50 pounds. I mean, that's the quality of fish you can find there. And I got a
Welcome
1
back.
ounce shy
We're the last
of
day
10-pound
on Cedros
calico.
Island, and the wind is still howling offshore. Jim has decided to make the most of it and is confident that it won't be an issue for him or his kayak.
Because I put a Torpedo motor on it.
Well, I was paddling the Jackson Kayak Kraken, my signature boat. It's a paddler's fishing boat. Somebody who likes to paddle, wants a good paddling boat. But we designed that thing to excel in big water. So it handles that slop and chop and movement and just continues to glide. I was paddling it.
I mean, look at that wind.
Yeah, it was cranking.
And I felt like I had a motor on behind me. I mean, the boat is so fast. It's such a good paddling boat. Anybody who enjoys paddling would enjoy the Kraken. And then the fishing stuff is all just bonus, and it's designed really well for fishing. Our last day on Cedros Island was pretty awesome. A challenge. We had, as every day, we had insanely high winds, 25, 35 mile an hour gusts. That's hard to fish in. But we saw bait, we saw birds, and I was just bound and determined I was going to stick it out, paddled into the headwind. And I mean, I was paddling as hard as I could at some points with those really hard gusts, and I was going, you know, like 0.7 miles an hour.
Okay, pause.
Yeah.
Of course, oldest guy on the trip.
You're the only guy left paddling, I think, at that point.
You're paddling. The boys up there jump on the boat and fish off the boat.
Yep.
It's like we're making a kayak fishing show. We don't care. We want to catch fish. We don't want to paddle. Oh, man. I was ready to kill those guys.
And just really working hard to stay in the zone. And getting a little frustrated, had to deal with a sea lion, had a bird take my bait. I mean, I was getting pretty frustrated out there with all the hard work of paddling, but it paid off.
And that fish was pulling me into the wind.
Yeah, you don't even have, I think it was one of the very first torpedoes, and I think your rigging didn't work, so you took it off, right?
Right.
Pounder. And I'm telling you, fighting those big fish in those challenging conditions just made the catches that much more exciting. I mean, it was really cool. You know, I said I was paddling, 0.7 miles an hour. That fish pulled me 2 miles an hour into the wind. That shows you how powerful these big fish are. And it was just so exciting and so fun. And when you finally get that fish underneath you and you know you've got it, you got color, it's dicey because there's so much water moving around and the fish may go down. And
that's a quality one too.
Yeah, that's another biggie.
You're that close to getting it. And once you put the gaff in it, it's like, oh, man, it was so exciting. It was just such a great ending to an awesome trip here at Cedros Island with Cedros Outdoor Adventures. On the SG, I have a 80-pound Seaguar threadlock. I had a 40-pound Seaguar fluorocarbon leader. Man, everything I could to pull on that fish, and everything held up perfect. What a great fish, great fight. Good times. Let's put that on the boat.
Just about to call it a day as the winds get even higher. Jim drops one last bait in the water and hopes for something good.
They come in flurries.
Yeah, they do.
Zach, gotta be really careful. If we get straight underneath you, conditions. Fish can easily put you in the water.
Yeah, as I recall, like I said, these we were basically following birds. They were just kind of dipping around every once in a while. It wasn't like big areas where they just start pounding. Just all of a sudden, you'd see a few birds just start dipping and work around to those areas, and then boom.
Yeah, we were sort of just going back and forth, and every once in a while we'd cross paths.
Yeah.
Yeah, another nice one.
I can't thank Jose at Cedros Outdoor Adventures enough. He and his staff did such an incredible job to accommodate us and to get us on fish and to really work hard in some pretty trying conditions. You got to come to this place. You will not regret it.
Jose does run a great outfit.
Yeah, and he was on the show with us last week. He said we wouldn't recognize it. He goes, he has done more improvements to it, added a couple cabins. So definitely got to go back and check it out.
Sounds like a plan. Oh my goodness.
With that, we say adios to Cedros. Just one last step. Load up the truck and throw the fish in the cooler for the long ride home.
Here's a Canadian for you. Adios.
Now, normally, out of Cedros Island Adventures, they will fillet and vacuum pack your fish for you. But I had some special requests from a few friends that wanted some whole fish. So I brought along my Engel 240 cooler.
That thing was enormous.
I think that's
It can
humongous.
hold these giant fish, and it's going to keep them cold for our 2-day ride home. I'll just get these fish in there, pack some ice in there, and I know these fish are going to be good and fresh by the time we get home.
Here's my old truck.
Yeah, my old truck as well. That old red Ford of mine was a really good truck, dude. I had so many good adventures in that thing.
The road trip has ended, and I hear my dogs.
Aw. Yum.
Yum is the word.
Yum.
I actually have the hook that Kirstin caught that fish on.
Oh, that's cool.
Is hanging from a light in front of the house.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I think the hook was still in the corner of its mouth, and when I unpacked it, it was still there. So I just popped it up and just hung it in front of the house.
And that's where it lives now. I still have. I haven't saved any except my first kayak marlin. I still have that hook.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
And the flag we got you?
Oh yeah, it's like a whole. It's a whole kit.
The shrine. Yeah. Alan says Kirstin fit in it. She actually fit in that cooler.
Yeah, that thing was so big.
Hey, Pamela, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. And SD watching that again, Kayak Fishing Tales. I said great camera shots, and that was actually quite near the beginning. There were some good shots. It is nice to have good camera guys with you.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to do it all on GoPro.
I think we had Will, and was that Mike McKay was on that trip, right?
Right. And that was a whole other dynamic.
Yeah.
They were
Will and Mike in my truck a lot. They were just back there playing music the entire time. They co-opted my ukulele and had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a great road trip. Now, you had done a trip. That's why I kind of let you, it's like, hey, help us plan this thing out, because you've done a road trip all the way down to the East Cape. And
yeah, we did a 31-day trip down there, I think in 2008. I was changing jobs and had to not start my new job for 6 weeks because of CalPERS. And I said, okay, I've got an idea. So I was in Baja getting paid, and it's insane. You know, when you go down there that long, you forget about what day it is and all of the things that you go to a place like that for. It was insane. So fun.
Yeah. And the trip we did was like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was pretty long as well.
But it's not long enough.
Yeah, 32 days felt about right.
You find yourself driving by so many places that you want to check out because you kind of get yourself on this schedule.
Yes. And there's still a couple places we were supposed to go on that trip that we didn't make it to, only because it was just like this trip, you know, where we thought we were going to spend most of our time ended up not being what we wanted. And we went to some other places on the punt, and the punt ended up being amazing. And we stayed there way longer than we ever intended. So there's still plenty of unfinished business down there.
Yeah. And there's still so much places that you can truly adventure.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's take a dirt road and figure out where you end up.
Yeah, we stayed at this one beach for, I think, almost around 8 days or something. And we didn't know at that point, we were sort of off the calendar. And when we first started camping there, one of the gringos in the neighborhood told us that you'll know it's the weekend when some of the locals show up. And we already had way more fish than we could eat. We didn't know what to do, but we had spear fishermen with us, and CNR spear fishing isn't really a thing.
Right.
And when we came back, there were locals on the beach, and Justin had just shot this massive cabrilla, like a 40-pounder. And I was sort of annoyed with him. I'm like, dude, what are we going to do with that thing? He's like, dude, I'll just gift the locals, and they can have a big barbecue on the beach. So we gave it to them, and they were so happy. But they were so happy they packed up and left. They're just like, it's over. And they get boogie with it. They took it home. It was really funny. We envisioned they'd have like this big, sort of Baja luau down there. And they're like, oh, hell no, we're taking this thing home and putting it in the refrigerator. We killed the whole party. It's really funny.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like I said, there's so many cool places. So many. I'd really like to do that trip again, like you were talking about, doing 30 days or something like that. And
we met so many to explore. You just get in the groove, So I would love to do something like that again.
Now we have sprinters.
Now we have vans. Yeah, I was sleeping in the back of my Tacoma on that trip, like a short bed 2-wheel drive Tacoma. I would say the only thing bad about that trip was I was over sand by the end of it. Like I had sand in every crevice of that Tacoma, including my bed, and everything was just covered in sand. But it's not a bad place to go.
Well, Patrick, did you enjoy the show?
I follow all the show. I love the wind. I think the wind is the most fun. We all know that.
Yes, I know. I bring the weather everywhere. I can bring it to Florida. I can bring it to Baja. I can bring it to the Bahamas.
Believe me, I got tired with wind a long time ago. I started to guide basically back in 1986 on the Sahara coast, on the west coast of Africa, where the Sahara Desert reach the Atlantic Ocean. So basically you have that huge desert behind you, sand and stones only, and you have the ocean in truly one of the best fishing places in the world, where the number one target was the white sea bass, which we were catching from the beach, 40 to 60 pound average, and our daily catch. And but the problem was that place was, I'm not sure the best word to describe it, but that was loaded with wind. It was like 6.99 days a week of wind.
Wow.
And real wind. And it can be pretty hot in the day. It can be in the daytime, can be 100 degrees. And just around 11 p.m., that will drop to 36, something like that. So we will be from t-shirt and sweating, and just a few hours later, you will be covered with gloves. One funny thing was we're fishing mostly from the beach, surf fishing, and we will dig holes. I will tell my customer, dig a hole in the sand, because when the night comes, you want to be there so you're hidden from the wind and you can look at your rods. So everybody will do that. I mean, some will not do the first 2 or 3 hours, and then they will change their mind for the rest of the trip. But sometimes the wind was that cold, piercing you through your ribs and everything, that some people will have a bite and they will tell their friend, hey, don't you want to take my rod?
They don't want to crawl out of their hole.
Oh.
That's funny. So, well, we're kind of reaching the end here. Again, I want to remind everybody to use those discount codes to get your discounts over at abandofanglers.com on the SpoolTek Lures, the 20% off for the next 24 hours and the 15% off for the remainder of the week. And of course, it doesn't have to be today, but if you comment or share this broadcast, you'll be entered into winning a $150 gift package handpicked from Patrick Sebile. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you being on here with me today. It was a lot of fun. A lot of
Nice seeing you, Jim.
Remembering these great trips. And Patrick, always fun chatting with you and learning more about your product. And we'll see you again next Tuesday. You guys take care. So again, we'll be back on Thursday with our ocean kayak gears. I believe this Thursday, as I recall, was actually shooting here in San Diego. So we do some stuff on San Diego Bay. We do some stuff in La Jolla. I know we ended up getting some live squid and fishing out there. So a fun older episode. So again, I do appreciate y'all joining us, and please again share these things with your friends. Give us that thumbs up, all that fun stuff. If you are going out on the water, please remember always wear your PFD and keep your paddle right side up. Y'all take care.